Well, joining me once again is Middle East expert Lisa Daftari. Lisa, in your view, what is at stake with this vote?
You know, this vote is much more important than years prior because this is not just about the next 4 years. This is going to be about decades to come. Whoever is elected into office, whether it is a more moderate candidate or a more conservative one, will pretty much dictate who the next supreme leader will be. Khamenei is about 78 years old. Rumors have been flying around about his very poor health. He's in and out of the hospital. There have actually been rumors about him actually dying that have proven to be false. So he's getting there, and this is really going to be an important move. You see the push by Khamenei and his constituents and the Revolutionary Guard to push this Raisi, the more conservative candidate, into office. Rouhani is the incumbent. He had a lot of popularity behind him, but again, he came in as the candidate that was going to be more moderate. He wasn't that much more moderate on human rights issues. And then on the economy, he was supposed to fix the economy. That's what he promised. That's what the Iranians were hoping for. And even though the sanctions were loosened, and even though they did strike that nuclear deal on his watch, the economy and unemployment are still abysmal in that country.
Does Raisi, his nearest challenger and conservative, really have the opportunity? Does he really have the capacity to change the direction of the economy?
Not really, because if Rouhani, with his more moderate approach, with that rapprochement to the West, to working with different economies and entering the global community, wasn't able to do so, what makes the Iranians believe that now a more conservative, isolationist type of candidate will be able to do so? Now, if you talk to critics of the regime, whether they're expat or inside the country, they will tell you this is entirely a sham election, a fake system, because all of the candidates have to be approved by the council. All the candidates come from within the system. So whether Rouhani's a bit more reformist, it's all within the same system. They're all going to be made of the same cloth, which is the cloth of the Islamic Republic, of that government. And I think what I have been hearing a lot and trying to pull out of these interviews with the Iranians that I do on a daily basis is to talk to people who are still talking about regime change, or pushing and finding ways of really exposing the regime for the real problems that exist within society. And again, the crackdowns on journalists, on dancers, on writers, on bloggers, people going to prison for a mere Facebook post. And I think that these are the real ills of society, and not what we're watching in this election, unfortunately.
Yeah. That being said, how much are the views, the stance of the likes of Donald Trump on the minds of voters as they cast their ballots here? You've been speaking to people. What are they saying? Or is this purely domestic?
You know, it is domestic, but I think Iranians are extremely politically savvy, and they do look across the world and see what's going on in the United States. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people that I interview say that they understand why someone like Donald Trump was voted into office. For people in the world want a change, and that change actually started not with Brexit, but it started with the Arab Spring. And while Iran is not an Arab nation, Iran was actually the precursor to that Arab Spring in 2009, when those young people in Iran came out onto the streets in the aftermath of their election. They were telling the world that we outgrew our government, we outgrew the system, and we want something different. And that catapulted into all these different political movements across the globe. And you can actually put Donald Trump's victory in that same list, saying that people want a change, something entirely different. And unfortunately, the Iranians were not supported in 2009 in their Green Revolution. They did not get the change that they wanted to, but that does not mean that this sentiment doesn't still exist right beneath the surface of their 75 million population.
And from the U.S. perspective, obviously they have had these dealings with Rouhani in recent years. Does the possible election of Raisi, does that stir concern, fear, or do they largely feel that Iran is largely being contained?
You know, it seems as though even with Rouhani, a more moderate candidate, he was just the face of the regime, and the supreme leader was obviously much more important, and that was Khamenei. Look, we signed a deal with the Iran in there, and they want to, you know, truly turn their backs on the United States and on the West. I think it's going to be much more challenging to rectify, or at least build upon, the nuclear agreement. Right now we have an agreement. It's a piece of paper. It has meant nothing about, you know, not getting Westerners stuck in Iranian prisons. It's meant nothing about, you know, certain you know, flexing of muscles that we're seeing that the Iranian government continues to do in the sense of provocations, really, military and otherwise. So truly, I think it's going to be real change coming from within society, and that's going to take time and years, and for the young people of Iran to really have these grassroots campaigns and to push the idea of really reforming themselves from within, because the man who stands at that podium has not been able to give them the change that they really are wanting.
Lisa Daftari joining us with some fascinating insight. Lisa, always appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.